Right, back to Ottawa now, and that cabinet meeting with the Prime Minister focusing on tariff threats from the U.S. CTV's Colton Praill is at the Bureau. He's got more for us. So what are we expecting from this meeting today, Colton?
Yeah, Marcia, there's a couple of things that are obviously going to be discussed. This is the first cabinet meeting since we saw last Thursday the president come out and say 35% is the new tariff rate that he's going to impose as of August 1st. What's interesting is that yesterday Donald Trump was asked about these tariff letters that he's sending to, at this point, about 24 countries that are imposing these new rates. And he was asked whether or not there were going to be deals. And he responded by saying, this is the deal, the letter is the deal, the letter is the deal. But then also doubled down and said, well, if they come to us with a new offer, we can talk. And that's even something that's included in the letter itself, is that if these countries work on targets, in the case of Canada, Trump is pointing to fentanyl, then there is room for negotiation. It's really a continuation of where we've been for the last several months with the U.S. president, where there is a threat hanging over the country of an imposed tariff at a rate that is perhaps higher than many would have expected at this point. It's certainly higher than the tariffs he's put on Mexico and the EU, for example, with the promise of potential negotiation, but no clear target for what it is going to require to get that negotiation to take place, or even a promise that those negotiations will be fruitful or done in good faith. And that's something that many Canadians are picking up on as well. New polling out this morning from Angus Reid shows that 80% of Canadians don't believe the president is going into these negotiations in good faith. What's interesting, though, is how Canadians want to proceed when it comes to these negotiations, and that's certainly something that Mark Carney and his cabinet are going to be discussing. That polling shows most Canadians, about 2/3, favor a harder approach, favor that elbows-up approach that Carney and his cabinet have been espousing, that would include fewer hard concessions, even if it meant perhaps a more difficult trading relationship with the United States. What was interesting is when you break that down by voter demographic, conservative voters were the only ones in the country who preferred a softer approach, making more concessions to Trump if it meant a more beneficial long-term trading relationship with the U.S. So there's going to be a lot to talk about at this cabinet meeting. Certainly it's not as involved as we've seen in the past because it's a virtual cabinet meeting. You're not going to have all these ministers coming in and coming out as they typically do. The other interesting element to this cabinet meeting that we could see come up is it's the first cabinet meeting since the Prime Minister has asked his finance minister to have all of these different portfolios and ministers find 7.5% savings in their portfolios when it comes to program spending. So a lot of big, meaty discussions to have at this table today.
Yeah, Colton, we're just getting into the newsroom, some sound and pictures of the Prime Minister arriving, so we're going to play that now. Let's watch.
The government has consistently... first thing to say is the government has consistently stood up for Canadian workers and businesses throughout these negotiations. Will continue to do so. I expect that the discussions will intensify between now and the end of the month, and we'll be working hard on that. At the same time, we need to recognize that the commercial landscape globally has changed. It's changed in a fundamental manner, and we will continue to focus on what we can most control, which is building a strong Canadian economy, and that's part of what we'll be discussing in Cabinet today. And a strong Canadian economy, to be absolutely clear, includes a strong steel industry, it includes a strong Canadian auto industry, a strong Canadian aluminum industry, a copper industry, and we'll be focused on what we can do as a en français.
Est-ce qu'une entente sans tarif est possible?
That a tariff-free agreement is possible? There's not a lot of debate. And we are negotiating, and the important thing is to have an agreement. At the time being, Canada's in a situation with the Americans, and we need an agreement.
Mais il y a des problèmes, évidemment, dans le secteur de l'acier, de l'aluminium, et les autres boîtes et tout ça. Alors, il faut stabiliser la situation pour le Canada. Ça effectif pour le Canada est presque le plus bas par rapport aux Américains du monde.
Trump's threatening 35% tariff. What's your response to that?
All right, so that was the Prime Minister as he was going in to begin his workday, a day that includes meeting with Cabinet, most of them virtually today. Our apologies for that audio, a lot of background noise. We'll get that cleaned up. But essentially, the Prime Minister there saying that they're obviously working on this deal with the U.S. and that a strong economy includes a strong Canadian auto sector. So we'll have more throughout the day, throughout the morning from the nation's capital.